Welcome to ShouJoe, the podcast about shoujo anime, a genre typically targeting young girls. And I'm Sarah, your host, who's introducing my good friend Joe, who is a little less familiar with the genre. So we're getting good, genuine dude reactions to all these fluffy shows. If you want to say hi, Joe.
Hello, I am here to give reaction to fluffy shows.
Yeah.
Although I'm not really sure this first one's that fluffy.
No, well, as we, after the fact, determined that it was totally to ease you into the genre, so it's not just full-blown. That's I'm not sure if justifying that.
I'm not sure if any of the shoujo I have watched is really all that fluffy, to be honest. Like, I don't know, is Sailor Moon fluffy?
I wouldn't say so.
Utena definitely is not.
No. You'll see. It's once we do, like, slice of life stuff that's really gonna get, sparkles in the background and, you know, extended shots of just staring at each other. But yeah, before we get into things, what have you been up to? Or what have you been consuming this week, Joe?
I couldn't decide what to put for this, as I was saying right before we did this recording. I have been watching a lot of stuff, but I kind of want to wait until I finished it to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't want to say you hate it and then it turns out you loved it, or vice versa by the time you finish
or it
it
could get worse. Like, there are things where I'm like, ooh, because a lot of the stuff I watch is very, like, speculative in terms of, like, I'm enjoying it while I watch it. I watch stuff kind of slow. I don't really just binge things.
Okay.
And so by doing that, I'm like, oh, I can think of, like, a lot about, like, what's happening in the episodes, and I can be like, oh, it's really cool if they do this thing, and then sometimes they don't do this thing, and I'm like, oh, actually, the show was not that good. Or, like, sometimes it's the other way, where it's like, it turns out the thing is actually really good because it was doing something the whole time, and now that I can see it in totality, it's good. And in the vein of that, I'm instead going to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam. So I've been watching all of Gundam in order, along with the Great Gundam Project. So I guess I'll talk about the original Gundam series from the 70s, 0079.
Damn, it's that old?
It's old.
Oh, I had no idea it was that old.
Gundam is old, but it's very good. I think they have like a really good setup. Because it's so old, it like predates some of the less good anime tropes that you see in a lot of other stuff. Mm-hmm. So it actually ends up being much more enjoyable than you would think.
Uninfluenced by other animes.
Yeah.
Trailblazing.
Yes. But the setup's really good. It's really interesting, like politically, the situation, because it kind of takes place in a universe where there is like people have gone to space. There's the Earth Federation, which is like this kind of ineffective liberal government, kind of like how the United States is, that runs everything from Earth. And there's all these space colonies. And one of the space colonies decides that it's going to, stop being neglected. And they declare independence as the Principality of Zeon. And they are trying to like fight for their own independence movement. But then very early on in the Zeon movement, the like ruling power in that gets overthrown by a bunch of fascists. And then they become like a weird kind of fascist regime also. And so like you have characters like Char, who is caught in between that, where he is like pro space noid independence, but also doesn't like the like fascist rulers. So he's kind of like playing both sides a little bit. The main character, Amuro, is just like a kid who is on a colony that gets attacked by Zeon because there's a Federation base there. So he's basically like forced into fighting. A lot of like interesting stuff is happening that you probably wouldn't expect from a show where you just know, hey, cool robot. So yeah, it ends up being really enjoyable. And like the first three series, like 0079, Zeta Gundam, and Double Zeta, all like have a lineage and are in conversation with each other, and it's pretty cool.
I feel like almost all mechas have political elements, which maybe that's why I don't watch them as much. But like Gurren Lagann, Darling in the Franxx, which was
oh my god, I'm taking damage from these. I'm taking enormous psychic damage that your two go-to are Gurren Lagann and Darling in the Franxx. Darling in the Franxx is like, isn't that like supported by Scientology or something? There was like some weird funding thing. I think they were funded by a cult. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
I guess I like that one because maybe it's younger pilots, I guess, are younger, and so there's elements of teen awkwardness and romance and stuff that I like.
I don't think you remember the show. The show is they have sex in the robot, basically. Like the positioning is, it's like the girl is on all fours and the guy's like right behind, like it's doggy style. It's bad.
I know. know. I don't know.
This is a bad. Gundam is 1,000 times better than this. I hate Darling in the Franxx. It's my enemy. Do you know how it ends? I had to listen to how it ends, and it like some weird space aliens. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to like dunk on a thing that you like.
I don't know. I mean, I don't like absolutely adore it or anything. I don't know. Even my sister watched it, so it's got something about it. Maybe it's because there's more. I feel like a lot of the mecha shows are very male protagonist oriented, and at least in Gurren Lagann there's Yoko, and then in Darling in the Franxx there's 02.
Okay.
So those are like iconic characters, like everyone recognizes them.
Yeah, but they're both like the dream girl, manic pixie dream girl kind of, like it's bad. Like 02 sucks. Like you know, it's like the waifu culture. I hate this stuff. Yoko doesn't get to do anything. It's like really unfortunate. I don't know. Like Gurren Lagann I like better because I think there is some interesting stuff going on there, but it still is extremely frustrating the way Trigger does. I mean, these are both animated by Trigger, right? Studio Trigger.
Dude, you pay attention to that stuff? I do not.
I believe so. They have really nice looking, like Studio Trigger is known for like action sequences, I feel like is like their big thing. And it looks really good. They make stuff that's really good, and they also make stuff that's really horny all the time, and I'm mad at them for it.
Yeah, I guess. The Gurren Lagann opening is so good.
It is good. Like both of these things are like, I don't know if they really hold up, but I watched them at the time and I'm like, this is pretty fun. I think there are parts of it that are interesting. Ultimately, I think there are better versions of these things.
What is the one with the guy with the weird eyeball?
The guy with the weird eyeball?
Code Geass or something? That's kind of
mechy.
Is a
mech one. Yeah, that one talks about politics. Okay,
because there is one. It's not full-blown mecha, I guess, but I don't know if you've watched Ride Back.
No, I've never even heard of that.
Okay, it's got a killer opening. It's another, like, it's straight up a female protagonist for that one, but she's in college, and it's kind of these rideable. Yeah, like it transitions from like riding to standing forms.
It's got arms. It's like a motorcycle with an arm.
But I hate, because it starts off just kind of college and competing with these things, but then freaking politics, man, I hate it.
Okay, but the politics part is good. See, here's the thing. The politics part is the fun part. The part where it's just people hanging out is fine, but like you can't support a show just from hanging out.
No, I mean, because that's a world in which it's fun to envision you partaking in, not the like dreary political stuff. It's so not.
Unfortunately, the world we live in also has dreary politics.
Yeah,
that we have to
that's
live
why
with.
I just live under a rock happily.
Okay, well, I think it's fun to think about politics sometimes. I think we should get you watching better mech anime shows.
Well, maybe that can be a bonus.
Because maybe the stuff you've been watching is not the greatest.
Does Zoids count? I watch a little bit of Zoids on like Cartoon Network.
Oh my god, I haven't thought about Zoids in a million years. I don't think that counts.
No, it's big robot things.
Do they ride in Zoids? I don't even remember Zoids.
Yeah, or at least the one I saw was like they were animal shaped.
Yeah, I guess they do get inside of them. Man, I don't remember any of this. These are wild. Do they look like this?
I so vaguely remember.
These are like, I'm looking at pictures. It's like, what if a transformer was even more complicated than they already are? And also in the shape of a dog. Okay,
but let me get into to bring it back home to more ShouJoe-esque content.
What have you been watching?
Okay, well, number one, Avatar: Last Airbender, the live action just came out. So I binged all of that. It's fine. There's like a few cringy airbending moments.
Oh no, Sarah, I have to watch this on Monday. My friends want to watch this with me, and we're watching it on Monday, and I'm gonna hate it.
Well, okay, here's the problem with it, without spoiling anything. They seem to purposely avoid some of the cooler, large-scale bending moments. I am assuming for the sake of, like, trying to execute that visually.
Well, like, wait, what do you mean?
Like
which ones?
We watched the first episode, and my brother's like, that's dumb. That's my favorite part of the show, and they didn't even put it in. But, you know, when they're, it's like in the first couple episodes, Aang is on Zuko's ship and they're kind of leaving, and he kind of escapes his prison cell, and then he goes into the Avatar state for like the first time. He does the cool like water funnel thing.
Like doesn't he like collapse part of like a glacier on the ship or something?
Something like that. Yeah. Which was cool, and they didn't do that. I mean, it's just lazy budget. I don't know, but like you have to go all out. That's what people are here for, is the bending.
Well, this is such a fundamentally hard thing to adapt into.
Yes, as we've seen in the past.
Okay, yeah.
The
my
atrocity.
mom messaged me about this. She's like, did they make another Avatar thing? I'm like,
my
no,
God.
they did the remake into have you thought any of them have been good? Like any of the, like, I'm going to include any kind of like adapting animation into live action, including like all of the Disney stuff where they're like make a live action
I don't
version
like
of a
the
thing.
Disney ones because they aren't bringing, like, it's almost exactly, really, I only watched the Cinderella one, which is one of the first ones they did, but it was exactly the same, so there was no reason to watch it because I've already seen it in the preferred method of animation.
Yeah.
I mean, but that is one thing about Avatar is that it does. I thought it was going to be slight differences, but they kind of like it like kind of follows the same path, but things go differently.
So
or there's
it
like
is different.
yeah. So there's, I mean, I don't know if you want to count it. Here we go with the canon again, but because the creators of Avatar were on the project to begin with, but left.
Yeah.
Because I think they didn't like that it was departing so much from the source material. But honestly, just watching the live action made me want to rewatch the animation because it's just so good. It doesn't matter if I had my freaking grandma watch the first episode of the animated one and she was into it.
Yeah, this is the problem where it's like, I know why they're adapting the stuff that's good into live action is because they want to like cash in on it, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like what you should be doing is adapting the stuff that was bad.
Oh,
and then it will always be better because the original shot didn't go well. But
that's good thinking. I was gonna say the One Piece was okay.
I watched most of that.
Did a good job casting for that. They did for Avatar as well. Like I liked the actors they picked.
Does it look flat? Because like when I watched the Netflix adaptation of One Piece, like I like the actors and the costumes, but like the sets all look so flat. Like they're in just like a big room.
No, I wouldn't say so. Although I also am maybe not as critically viewing it as you would with that in mind. It's essentially just chapter 1 water. So lots of different locations.
Is it good? Is it okay? Does it just make you want to watch the thing that's actually good?
Yes, I did watch it. It's interesting because they do change a lot. So it's interesting to see a different interpretation. This would have, maybe this would have been cool if they had done this in the animated series. I'm 30, you guys, but I'm freaking rewatching series that I, periodically saw episodes of just tuning in as a kid that I am now sitting down and watching in its entirety. I don't know if you've ever heard of a show called Code Lyoko. It was on Cartoon Network. It's like French a Canadian French. Because even that art style, they all have giant foreheads. But other than that, I like it. The opening's good, and I've just been watching that while I work.
Do you want to say the premise? Because watched it. I
essentially
remember.
It's these kids who go to this boarding school and they discover a nearby factory that has this technology to virtualize people and put them in this virtual world called Lyoko. And they meet a girl who's like a resident of it, and then there's like an evil AI from that starts interfering with the real world, and so they have to go in and address it when he starts interfering with the real world. It's essentially, so it's like a mixed animation, so there's like 2D for their day-to-day lives, and then when they're virtualized, it's a 3D model style. But yeah, I've been watching that. And then to top it off, there's a new ShouJoe series that I've read a lot of the manga online for that just released, and it's kind of being hyped as like one of the best ShouJoes to come out for 2024. It's called A Sign of Affection, and it's about this girl in college who's deaf, and she meets this guy, and it's kind of just like a romance, but it's got like those elements of sign language and stuff. And so I watched the first 2 episodes. It's fine. Like I don't really like the guys, maybe aren't as, something about their lips are weird, but other than that, it's fine. I don't know that it'll compel me enough since I've already read it to watch it.
Is this a case? So we had talked, or like in your like streaming Discord, I guess some people have talked about it and linked us stuff that was talking about how ShouJoe adaptations of anime from the mangas they are like usually lower budget or like lower quality for unknown reasons, or like people speculate.
I guess because they're not depicting as maybe visually interesting things.
Yeah, But like, there's like stuff. I mean, there's like series that don't depict like high action stuff that are still like animated very.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I was saying when we were going through some of those openings is that this one artist in particular has gorgeous, gorgeous manga, but all the anime versions were not doing it justice.
Right.
I don't think it's as much the case now. Like, I mean, I guess we've gone to the point where everything feels a lot more polished. Angelic Layer definitely has that older feel.
Angelic Layer looks great, though. I feel like the modern stuff is more characterized, like you could tell where they cut corners for things or like put in like 3D modeling.
Yeah.
That looks bad.
Oh, God, we've been doing this for almost 30 minutes.
Speaking of shows that pack a lot of stuff into episodes, these summaries I have 18. These are long. I have long summaries of what happens.
Let's kick it off.
Angelic Layer episode 5 is titled, I Don't Want to Lose, I'm Believing in Hikaru. We open on a flashback where an even younger Hatoko is standing outside in the cold in front of an Angelic Layer practice location holding her doll. An employee comes out and tells her that the practice building is closed today, but Hatoko sadly pleads that if she doesn't practice for one day, it'll take her 3 days to catch back up. The employee, who refers to Hatoko by name, so like she knows who she is, feels bad and eventually lets her in. Hatoko does some training and she is able to get Suzuka, her doll, to move fast enough to counter a bunch of like simulation attacks. And then the opening plays. Back in the present, Misaki and Tamayo are eating lunch in between matches. Tamayo compliments Misaki's cooking and the fact that she won her first match so easily. Misaki protests that she only happened to win since she didn't really understand what was going on in the match all that well. Kotaro joins them and they all cheer to Misaki's future victories. As they make their way back to the stage, Tamayo theatrically announces that she's going to the bathroom so Kotaro can go alone with Misaki. And then to drive the point home, she puts Kotaro in a full Nelson and tells him to keep his hands off Misaki while she's gone. And then she turns to the audience and tells them not to try that at home and then walks away laughing. I included that bit because that bit is really funny to me.
What is it, the fourth wall? Breaking the fourth wall, is that what it's called?
Yes, she's definitely breaking the fourth wall. It's pretty good. Kotaro recovers and wishes Misaki a luck on her next match. Misaki is not all that confident, though, because she still thinks she just won by luck. Kotaro reassures her that she won because she believed in Hikaru. Hatoko joins them and tells Misaki that she also that she has the most important thing for Angelic Layer, which is the desire to grow stronger. Hatoko then gets swarmed by a bunch of fangirls, and she wishes Misaki luck as she deals with all of them. And then she also mentions that if her and Misaki ever have a match together, it'll probably be a pretty good one. We then return to the arena where two angels are having a match. In the control room, Ichan is watching the match when his phone starts ringing. He answers it, and one of his employees complains that he's been missing the examinee testing for a new product they have. Ichan tells her that he isn't going to be able to make it, and that they can run the tests for exactly 10 minutes, but not to go longer than that. We then return to the ongoing match where a buff-looking angel wins her match by like suplexing her opponent in like a wrestling move. And then back in the waiting room, Misaki comments that angel who just did that is going to be her next opponent. In the testing facility, we see Ojiro, I think. Is that Ojiro? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, yep. He walks in on the ongoing test, which is of like a new AR headset. Unlike the previous one that's like a wrap around, you put it on your head, it has little wings on it. This is just like sunglasses, more or less. Misaki's mom is using it and testing with Athena, and we get some comments that the new sunglasses AR headset has like faster reaction speed and is like more accurate. We then come back to the tournament where Misaki's match is the first match of the second round. Her opponent's name is Tomoko Tamada and her angel is Vasquez. The girls observing the match from last episode are back and they provide some helpful exposition about how Vasquez is like famous for her power, so she's like a power hitter, and Hikaru probably doesn't stand a chance. The match begins, Hikaru rushes forward and tries to get in some quick hits, but narrowly dodges a punch from Vasquez that's so powerful green sparks fly out when she actually impacts the floor. Misaki gauges that Hikaru won't be able to take that many hits. A kick from Vasquez barely hits Hikaru's shoulder and sends her flying, so we got a heavy hitter. Vasquez closes in on Hikaru and does a couple of hits her a couple times, but Hikaru is able to effectively block most of these. Misaki starts getting into the swing of things and is able to start landing some counters. Back in the cafeteria, Hatoko eats some cake while watching the match and comments that she isn't all that surprised that Misaki can hold her own. While keeping Vasquez at bay, Misaki tries to strategize how she can actually win the match. She watches how Vasquez moves and notices a weak point where she briefly turns her back to do a spin kick, and she tries to hit her in the back while it's turned, but she messes up the timing the first time she tries it and takes a hit instead. She She tries to do it a second time, but can't get the timing right. And then she's about to try it for a third time, but then doesn't because she doesn't want to commit to the attack because she's afraid she'll mess it up and lose. So instead, she tries to wait it out and just win the match by scoring points and playing conservatively. However, when it becomes obvious that this is what she's doing, Ichan, Hatoko, and Hikaru all comment that this is like a losing strategy and probably not a good way to get better at the game. During the match, Ichan is interrupted by Ogata, who hands him the phone. The testing engineer tells him that Misaki's mom has passed out after using the new headset for 20 minutes, and Ichan yells at her for going past the 10-minute limit he said earlier. We learn that these AR headsets, or at least this new one, causes stress on your optic nerve, and Misaki's mom insisted to keep going past the 10-minute mark so they could get better measurements, and Ichan just cancels the whole test. Back in the match, Hikaru has taken the point lead, and there's only a minute to go. Misaki's plans to try to wait it out. Back in the cafeteria, we see Hatoko disapproving of this strategy and saying that she feels bad for Hikaru. With 30 seconds left to go, Vasquez takes a knee, which is like a maneuver she did in the previous match we saw, where basically she baits the opponent into attacking her, and then she does a counter. So she baits Misaki into a trap by commenting about how cowardly she's being. Misaki takes the bait and starts to attack Vasquez, but then Vasquez does a counter at the last second. Fortunately, Misaki reacts very quickly at the last second, and Hikaru dodges and then does her own counter and wins the match that way. After the match, Tamayo congratulates Hikaru for winning, while Kotaro says nothing. Misaki sees Hatoko and asks if she thinks they'll have a match together after all. Hatoko very coldly replies that she doubts they'll have a match, and then she walks away as we cut the credits.
Ice queen.
Ice cold. Sometimes you disapprove of someone else's playstyle and you tell them, actually, I don't want to be rivals with you.
I mean... Okay, so my first note is at the beginning when it's a flashback of Hatoko, and I said, I'm concerned that she's not gonna have a normal childhood. Like, does she not hang out with friends? Does she not spend time with her family? All she does is Angelic Layer. Above all else, that's what she cares about. Like,
okay, but this is a show about Angelic Layer. I feel like it's fine. My first note is that tiny Hatoko is so cute. She's so small. She's already tiny. She's even tinier. And she's so sad.
Because she just is so focused on it. I feel like it'd be hard to talk to her about anything else.
Well, the employees know her, so like she's a known quantity
she's
already,
a regular,
which is incredible.
Hey, girl, maybe these people are just doing training and then they're supposed to leave work early, and now because you're there, they're not gonna have a day off because you're selfish.
Oh my God, she's 5.
Hey, you gotta respect facility hours.
Listen, she doesn't know about facility hours. She's tiny. She just wants to play Angelic Layer. And she's so cute. The employees are like, yeah, that's fine. She can come in. Look at her. She's just a little tiny girl. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess.
She has the same haircut as Suzuka.
Yeah, it's called the Hime cut.
Oh.
Hime stands for princess, but I think in feudal Japan that's a popular style for women in like nobility, where it has like the sharp cut of bangs. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that at least when I make a game, a lot of the times, depending on the character creator, or at least as a kid, I tried to make them look like me. So it makes sense that the angel is kind of similar to Hatoko.
What's her avatar? It's her angel. She's the deus and it's the angel.
My next note was about, I thought it was funny Tomoyo saying that, like, don't try this at home, kids. And
yeah, she just directly turned, like, it's so funny how Tomoyo is just turning into like a Looney Tunes character. In the way that she's like always just doing bits with Kotaro where she like puts him in headlocks or something and she does like a goofy laugh. It's good. I like the cartooniness of Tomoya.
Yes. I said, Ichan's a terrible boss. Like, I wouldn't want to work for him.
We get another, like, what, penalty game gag, but, like, he just makes him go, he makes Ogata get like, a manga or something. Is this, like, this must be where they got, like, where this Angelic Layer originally got published, right?
Yeah, he sent him on, like, an errand to a place that turns out to be closed.
Yeah, to pick up a manga or, like, a weekly
I think
manga thing.
I was gonna say, I think it's, like, Shonen Jump or something.
It's like when Hatoko comes up the first time and is, like, talking to her and then she gets swarmed by fangirls. First, she has a bunch of fangirls, which I think is very funny. Freaking, like, Chad Hatoka. It's like a 5-year-old.
That's gonna warp her personality. She's gonna think she's hot shit for the rest of her life.
She is hot shit. I hate to break this to you. It turns out Hatoko rules and is the best. Also, she talks to Misaki as, like, her equal. Like, Kataro's like, she's, like, older than you. You need to, like, be a little more respectful. And Hatoko just doesn't care. She's like, yeah, whatever. I think that's good. I like Angelic Layer as, like, an equalizer between people.
I was gonna say, yeah, Misaki said she's more experienced than an Angelic Layer, so she's fine with her
Yeah.
speaking more casually. Yeah. I don't remember what they said in the Japanese version, but what does the announcer say when they first throw in their angels as they're landing? There was like a specific thing.
Fall in?
Yeah, okay. So in the English version, I didn't watch any of the episodes in English this time around, but I very distinctly remember them saying something along the lines of like, and the angel descends, which I think sounded cooler than just fall in.
Yeah, now we're getting whole, we talked about how this doesn't have magical girl transformation sequences. Instead what we get is the entire sequence where they throw the dolls into the match, and like Hikaru gets her own sequence for like being thrown in and like becoming animated and then landing, and that gets repeated in these last 2 episodes. So we have that now.
Okay, so her opponent is this
Vasquez.
Militant, humongo angel that's hardcore.
She looks like a character in like Advanced Wars or something, or like
G.I. Joe or Jane or something.
Yeah. She's like got like the shoulder pad armor on, and she's like buff. Even like her dais is dressed like she's in the military. She's wearing like a camo muscle shirt and like green cargo pants. So like very military coded. I don't really know, because like she just kind of does grappling stuff the whole time.
But yeah, going against her, I was thinking like, oh, maybe glass cannon wasn't such a good idea. Misaki.
Well, it is, because she does, like, the thing that's interesting about this episode is, like, it hinges on the idea that she doesn't go for the quick kill, or, like, the quick win, in terms of, like, she recognizes how she can win the match early by hitting Vasquez in the back when, like, her back's turned, because she's, like, a bigger, slower angel. But she doesn't commit to it because she's afraid she's going to mess it up, which, ties in earlier when, everyone's like, oh, congratulating her on winning, and she's kind of like, I kind of just got lucky. Like, she doesn't really believe that she won those matches with like her own skill and stuff like that. And so I think that's a pretty good follow through. But the thing is that she still wins by playing conservatively.
Yes, but freaking everyone is so critical. I was like, Ichon and Hatoko have incredibly high expectations for a total newbie of Angelic Layer. Like, guys, she's brand new. She can't be the same caliber as you already.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they're both invested in like her long-term growth, not like winning immediate matches. And so they're right in terms of like, this is an opportunity for you to like learn how to like win fights, because in higher competitive fights, you're going to have to land that hit, right? And Misaki is more just like playing to win, which isn't the same as like playing to get better, which I think is the main difference here that is happening.
It's essentially when people in first-person shooters are like, oh, you're just camping. Like, loser tactic. Play the game for real.
I mean, the difference here is like, this is I mean, we're fully in sports mode, right? Like, this is the sports thing of like, oh, you're not taking shots on goal when you could. You're like passing it, which, does win you the game, but it's not like, you're not improving in a way that's going to like get you up to the next level. Where like winning isn't necessarily the point. It's about playing your best, which she was not doing because she was kind of like holding herself back. Let's see. I also have a note that I'm now paying attention to the music, and it sounds like it's from the N64 game GoldenEye. It's good. It just sounds like, it just reminded me of that, where it's like, oh, that's fun. I think the show's doing a good job of conveying the weight of attacks, even though they're dolls. Like, they're a small scale, so like there's a part where Hikaru hits the ground and she makes like a really light thump, even though she lands, and it's good because all of the shots are close up, so they look like they're full size, even though you have to remember these are probably like a foot tall or something. But when they land, it like makes a little tiny thump, and I'm like, that's
I know, like, just good sound effects.
And then like, so overall about this episode, I think it's interesting that like Ichan and Hatoko are both like critical of Misaki for not going for or like pushing herself to be the best and like do the stuff. But then at the same time, we get this subplot where Misaki's mom ends up like hurting her optic nerves by trying this test thing too hard.
Oh, look at you drawing parallels.
Well, it's like, this is about to be, I mean, they're going to mention this a little bit more in the next episode, so I guess we'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's kind of unclear what the show thinks about, like, how much of your all you should be putting into an activity.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, Ichan, whose job it is to make this, and Hatoko, who makes, like, this her whole life, don't like holding back, or, like, being conservative about doing the things you like. But also her mom, like, lands herself in the hospital by doing this. So I'm interested to see where the show will land on this idea.
Yeah, I know we haven't really gotten predictions from you much, other than you saying that she's going to fight her mom at some point.
Yeah. Well, if this show has like an interesting thing to say about that, that will be very cool. Because like so far, it's just been like a pretty good show. But I'm interested to see like what it has to say about
it's
like
been a
competing
little
in
more
sports.
surface level so far. But then again, we're only on episode 5 here, which is so early in the show. I mean, this series is only 26 episodes, so it's each episode has more purpose. But in longer series, like episode 5 would be nothing as far as what's happening. In the main plot. Right. Ready to talk about
get into episodes? 6?
Yep. Have at it.
Angelic Layer episode 6 is called Suzuka, the Speed of Light. Hatoko's declaration of rivalry. We open on Hikaru fighting another match while Tamayo, Kotaro, and Hatoko watch in the crowd. Misaki and Hikaru appear to be playing much better, and we get a montage of Hikaru winning like 3 matches pretty easily. A frustrated Hatoko walks out of the stadium looking kind of intense, and the announcer tells us that Misaki has won 8 matches and no losses as the opening begins to play. Back at school, Tamayo and Kotaro are congratulating Misaki on her performing so well for a rookie. 2 classmates snidely comment that she's probably winning just out of luck, and Tamayo forces them to apologize, but Misaki tells them that it's fine. Back in gym class, Tamayo asks why Misaki doesn't get upset when people badmouth her, and Misaki says that she doesn't really get frustrated and doesn't want to get into arguments, and that she's never really wanted to be anyone special. Tamayo isn't satisfied with this answer, but we get interrupted when Misaki looks over at a glistening Kotaro doing a great high jump, and she is very impressed. Misaki then tries to do her own vault jump, but completely misses the target and eats it. Back at HQ, Ichan asks Ogata if he's recorded all of Misaki's matches. Ogata says he missed a little bit, but he got the rest of them. As a punishment, Ichan makes him eat udon without making noise, which he comments isn't as appetizing. That seems like the easiest one so far. Mm-hmm. Walking home, Misaki wonders if she has any athletic ability at all. She meets up with Hatoko on her way home, and they walk together. Misaki thanks Hatoko for the advice that she gave her about believing in herself and Hikaru. Hatoko asks if she actually does believe in Hikaru, and tells her that if she isn't going to be able to progress any further as she is now. Back at home, Misaki wonders what Hatoko meant by that, and she accidentally burns the fish she was making for dinner. We then cut to Misaki and Aunt Shoko eating dinner, and Misaki tells her that she likes doing Angelic Layer, and that she's never liked anything as much as it before, causing Shoko to accidentally drop a bowl in the sink, breaking it. Later that night, Shoko cracks open a beer and wonders if all of this is really for the best. Shoko is so good. I love Shoko. The next day, Misaki returns to the tournament, and Tamiya shows her a new cheer she came up with. Kotaro and Hatoko reveal that Hatoko is her next opponent. Misaki is very unsure of herself as the match starts. Back in the control room, Ichan and Ko discuss Suzuka and how she wins all her matches in mere seconds, as we saw earlier. However, in the match, Suzuka waits for Hikaru to make the first move. Hikaru rushes her, but Suzuka easily counters. Suzuka then releases a fury of quick kicks that Hikaru is able to dodge, but she's being pushed back near the edge of the layer. Suzuka closes in to push her out, and Hikaru dodges using the same high jump technique that we saw Kotaro do earlier. Hikaru and Suzuka get into a more straightforward brawl, and while Suzuka is putting up a better fight, and while wait, what? Yeah, I'm going to say this whole sentence over again. Hikaru and Suzuka get into a more straightforward brawl, and while Hikaru is putting up a better fight, both Hatoko and Ichan agree that Misaki and Hikaru are looking much better than they have been before, and Hatoko thinks it'll be a good fight after all. Suzuka is able to consistently land hits on Hikaru, and Misaki wonders how Hatoko is able to exactly guess where she's going to be. Kotaro tells Tamiya it's because Hatoko has been watching not only Hikaru, but also Misaki during the fight, and Misaki realizes that she is telegraphing her moves with her face as she fights. So she'll look to the left when she wants Hikaru to dodge to the left, that kind of thing. She corrects this and is able to start actually dodging. Ichan comments that Angelic Layer isn't a game where the angels fight, but also the deists themselves are also playing against each other. Hatoko starts talking to Misaki to tell her that she's been having a great time, but the match is almost over and it's time to finish it. She tells her not to lose to anybody but her, and then she sends Suzuka to do this wild full body kick, which we get a reveal is called Rolling Thunder, where she just knocks the crap out of Hikaru. A very sad Misaki cradles Hikaru as Hatoko comes up and tells her that Hikaru will be okay. She then tells her that they'll need to meet up again at the Kanto Games, and they swear on a pinky promise. After the match, Tamoya and Kataru try to find Misaki, but she's gone. In an empty hallway, a sad Misaki bends over Hikaru as Ichan appears out of nowhere. Misaki apologizes to Ichan for losing after he spent all that time teaching her, but he tells her not to worry about it. He asks her how she's feeling, and Misaki finally admits that she feels very frustrated about losing, and Ichan encourages her to keep learning about Angelic Layer. Then Tamoya and Kataru meet up with her, and they cheer her up as we cut to credits. Ugh. A lot of talking.
Freaking, like the first, okay, I'll try to stay on, like, in order of my notes. Okay, so at first I was like, didn't her opponents, there's like a quick montage of angels she beats, and I was like, didn't these people lose? Why are they still here? Like, is this the loser's bracket or something? And then I realized, I guess it's more like whoever, I guess, has the best, win to lose ratios is the one who wins, not just like elimination.
Yeah, this isn't like a single elimination tournament. It's like a round robin or like a group play or something.
Yeah, I was like, do they think I'm not going to notice that it's the same angels from the last episode? And then, it dawned on me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair because, like, it's qualifiers, right? So, like, if you get paired up against Hatoko in your first round, are you just out because you lost to the best person here?
That's true. Okay, so freaking those girls in their class are stupid. Like, have you not seen Tomoyo? Why would you try to pick a fight with her friends? Like,
oh yeah, she like you probably just won because you got lucky, and then Tomoyo just like grabs them by the lapels and is like, you need to apologize, and they're like, okay, yeah, sorry. It's very funny.
Yeah, foolish girls. Let's see. When it's back at the house with Shoko, I was like, it's child labor. That's what's happening here. Like,
oh my god, why? She's just making dinner. Like, this is not an uncommon thing.
Okay, but I also relate to Shoko because basically she like is insisting, oh, I'll do the dishes since you cook. And then she sucks at it. And then that way she never gets asked to do it again.
Okay, that's not what's happening. This is not how this scene goes at all.
I definitely have done that before. Like, that way I never get asked to babysit or anything. It's a strategy.
Yeah. No, okay, but that's not, like, she doesn't break the plate as a strategy to get out having to clean. Like, Shoko, there's something weird going on with, her sister, like Misaki's mom and Angelic Layer, because like Shoko is very nice, like she's great, and she's like very nice. Like Misaki accidentally burns food because she's like worried about what Hatoko said to her earlier, but Shoko's like, I don't like it's still really good. Like you did a good job on the rest of it. You know, this is great. I'll do the dishes or whatever. And she only like starts to get phased when Misaki keeps talking about how much she loves Angelic Layer, and that's what like startles Shoko enough for her to break a thing.
She's been going to a tournament, dude. Obviously, she likes it. She's being so dramatic.
Yeah, but like there's something weird going. This is what I'm saying, like from the last episode stuff. Like her mom clearly likes Angelic Layer so much that she doesn't see her daughter and also gets herself in the hospital from like playing
that's what Toko's gonna be like when she's older. She's gonna ignore all other responsibilities in life and her own health for Angelic Layer. That's her future.
Yeah. This is why I'm so interested to see where the show goes, because like that's kind of what it seems like it's hinting at. Like, hey, being too into a thing is bad.
Yes.
Which is like not okay, but like I want to say this because if you haven't watched a sports anime before, I feel like they never do this. I feel like this is not a subplot in sports anime normally. It's normally about how like great playing sports is and how much it rules and how you should dedicate all your time to it. Like this is the complaint I have about a lot of sports anime is that like it kind of like the whole world revolves around this. You don't have a life outside of it.
Yes.
But I am interested to see if Angelic Layer says that that's a bad thing. Because it might. It kind of seemed like it's going to. And that would be cool.
I haven't watched much sports anime, but you're right there. Like, no other elements of life are shown.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the joys of sports, like how you can find camaraderie in it. I mean, it's like positive. It's not like negative. It's not like abandon your life, only play basketball. But, like, you know, it never shows this part where it's like, hey, you, like, there's opportunity cost for becoming obsessed with the thing.
I also had a note. Booze Hound Shoko strikes again. Chugging a beer.
She's so good. She's cracking open a beer. It's good. I do this. I love Shoko.
So her name's Shoko, and her sister, Misaki's mom, is Shuko.
Okay, I didn't
to
write
have
that.
such similar names.
Shuko?
It was like when she called her in the first or second episode. Shuko.
Okay.
Shoko and Shuko. Cruel parents.
We love that. I have a couple more notes. The part where Kataru does that high jump and Misaki's all impressed. But, like, I guess it's unclear if she's impressed by Kataru or the fact that he's athletic and she wants to be athletic.
I think it's that. I don't think she particularly cares that's him doing it. I think it's just the athleticism that she admires.
He's definitely losing in, like,
he's got no shot.
Boyfriend run. I like him though. Too bad.
The cheer they come up with sucks. And
Yeah, Tamiya's cheer is so bad.
okay, so what is it like? It's like Misaki Chi.
No, she does like the ramp up where it's like she says like the first syllable, so it's like for Misaki Chi, it's like me Misaki Chi, or like for Hikaru, it's like he Hikaru or something. That's what she does. That's the whole cheer. She does this.
Bad.
She does this for Misaki. Misaki watches her do this and just doesn't react, and then immediately changes the subject. It's so funny.
Okay, I made the note that she's so unathletic. What if she couldn't even throw Hikaru, yes, into the layer? Like, what if her chair was too far and like she just threw her and she landed on the ground?
She like
didn't
whips.
make it far enough.
Oh my god, that should be an outtake. That's so funny.
I made a note. Essentially, this episode, we discuss, she doesn't, basically, she's never cared about something enough to get frustrated by any kind of difficulties. So that's the lesson we learn.
Yeah, like she's never really had an identity around a thing before.
She just cooks.
So that, I mean, like when Tommy was like, doesn't it make you mad when people like talk shit about how you're not good at this thing that you put a lot of time into? And she's like, I've never really cared because like I don't really want people to notice me. But like clearly she does want to forge an identity around Angelic Layer. And like I feel like that part's pretty good, where it's like, actually I want to engage with the world. I want to like be involved in a thing and like have it be important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like the through line of this episode, which I think is pretty good.
I bet Hatoko really was excited to just totally demolish Misaki because, she's been like so disappointed in her. Like, let me freaking teach you a lesson, Messy.
Yeah, I mean, like, Suzuka doesn't do the normal thing, which is just like rush and win the fight.
Yeah.
She does actually want to have a fight.
She's toying with her because she could definitely end it immediately if she wanted. She's just trying to build Misaki's confidence, I guess.
Yeah, well, she does want to have a good match. I mean, this is the thing, is like, Hatoko does like Misaki. It's just like, she's kind of disappointed that she hasn't been playing like to her strengths or like trying to get better, right? Like, it's more of a disappointment thing than like an actual mad about something. Mm-hmm. So like, this whole match is basically like getting her to try her hardest. And so in this way, like, Haruko's being really cool, actually, and like really nice, and like trying to get
very mature
Hikaru to play her best. Yeah, that's because Hatoko rules. It is the best character.
Her doll's the coolest for sure.
Her doll is so cool. She does all these like when she does like a million kicks.
Yes.
It's like cool.
Yeah.
The
Rolling
last
Thunder
move she
is
does,
badass.
Yeah, dude. Okay, I need to describe this. Like Rolling Thunder is like she does like that thing where you do like a handstand and then kick.
Yeah, the momentum.
But it like does a huge flash because she does it so quick. It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dude, Hatoko at the end is where she's stone cold, where she's like, dang, Misaki, this has been really fun. I think we should be rivals. Anyway, the match is almost over. I'm gonna win now with the Rolling Thunder. Bye.
Yes.
It's so funny. And the bell rings. You know that Suzuka's gonna win because you hear the bells. Her little bells.
So freaking cool.
It's good.
Okay, so all those chicks who are kind of on the sidelines observing these
the spectators?
who are from different region. How far do you think they've traveled to get to this place to watch them? Is this every weekend they're making this trip to watch?
I mean, it seems like the tournament takes place over like a couple of days, right? And they're all wearing different uniforms. So, like, they come from different places, it seems like. But we don't see them play. So they're not in this tournament. So I guess they're not from Tokyo, right?
Because they've already, I guess, competed in whatever one they need to be.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, they made it sound like, oh, we're going to make Hatoko lose. But, like, I guess not here. I guess in the
Well, they just know she's the best in this area, so that she's definitely going to make it past qualifiers.
Yeah, they're scouting her out.
Without a doubt.
That's interesting. Foreshadowing. We're going to fight these. We're going to fight these people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anime is... If you watch enough of it, it's all very predictable. I
mean, this is just a trope. This happens in anything.
Yeah.
This is good writing, is basically what it is. Like, wouldn't it be good if you saw people you were going to see later earlier than when you addressed them for the first time? That's good.
Yeah, I said when she's crying, like, oh, it's about time you understand human emotion. And
she hasn't not been understanding human and emotion. You're so mean to these characters. These characters are great.
Hatoko's the best. Hatoko and Tamayo are the best characters.
Ichan's cool. Ichan's cool here. He's like, again, he's like being her dad. It's good.
I made a note. Once again, playing dad.
Yes, it's because he like actually cares.
Yeah, I know.
Like, for as much as this show wants you to think like Ichan's this like weird kind of creepy guy, he's actually extremely cool most of the time and like being a good guy.
You're so good at just seeing right through.
I mean, because he is. Because like she's like feeling bad. Like he finds her first and she's like feeling sad and then she apologizes for losing and he's like, hey, like this, I didn't help you out so you'd win every match. Like that's not why I was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asks her how she's feeling and then she's like, yeah, I actually am really frustrated. Like she does actually want to make an identity out of this. This is like a part of her life that she's going to acknowledge is important. She doesn't just think that she wins by luck anymore. This is good. This is all good stuff.
Yes.
This is all the stuff I never did when I was in things that were competitive because I just decided I actually didn't care about the thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like freaking ran cross country for years, and I was just like, oh, I'm just doing this so that I'm in running shape for track, the thing I actually care about that no one else gives a damn about.
Did you ever have this for like paintball or stuff? Because you actually did sports stuff like somewhat seriously. I've never really done anything competitive seriously.
Okay, so in high school I did 7th grade through 11th grade I did cross country. And honestly, looking back, it's like, what the hell's wrong with me? Why would I do that? It's awful. Long distance running, terrible. Oh, because there's never a class for track, the thing I liked, because I liked sprinting. And that was like the one time of the year that I felt confident because there'd be new people and I knew what I was doing. So I could like kind of mentor and stuff. Whereas I didn't talk to anyone at my school outside of that, essentially. Mm-hmm. In college, because maybe it's because if you're on a team, I mean, I guess you could either feel like, I guess in my mind is like, oh, I can't be successful because I have to depend on these other people. So it's more so just for fun. Yeah, it's mostly just for fun to have a group of people to hang out with, because after college, and I didn't have those same people to play with, I haven't really played much since. So it wasn't necessarily the sport, just more of the, community. Mm-hmm. And I'm not competitive in, gaming or anything.
Yeah.
Unless I'm tipsy, and then I try to arm wrestle everyone. But other than that...
Okay, I don't think this is really the same. But that is good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never really been competitive in this way where I wanted to be the best at a thing. I've had stuff where it's I want to do I'll just set a benchmark first. I want to be able to do this, and then I get there and I'm cool. I guess I'm done because I don't want to keep going.
Yeah, I mean because I feel pursued so many different interests, which I think is cool, master of all trades or something.
It's more amateur at all trades.
So. But that's better than just
not good at any of these things. But
yeah.
that's fine. That's never bothered me. But it is interesting to see oh, maybe my life could have been different if I ever dedicated myself to any of these things.
Yeah.
I mean,
most people don't excel past school.
True. Or maybe it would land me in the hospital because I burned my eyes out playing Angelic Layer for too long. Who knows what is good and what is bad at this point?
That's right.
But yeah, good episodes. I think this is... I think these were really good episodes.
I mean, I don't love when the protagonist isn't as likable.
You don't think Misaki's likable?
Just, in these episodes.
Well, she's learning about sports for the first time.
I guess, that's true.
She's forging an identity. I think this is all really good, coming-of-age stuff.
I'm just... judgy, I guess. You're critical of the content of the show, and I'm just critical of the characters, I guess.
See, my fear, where I will turn on the show is how they deal with what's her name? Shuko? That's her mom?
Yep.
How they deal with her mom. If it ends up being oh, she's great actually. Isn't it cool how much she likes this? Isn't Angelic Layer if it doesn't do the heel turn I'm expecting, which is your mom ruined her whole life by being obsessed with this game.
Yeah.
And she should have that's what I want it to be. If it turns out to be the other thing, I'm gonna be mad. But that would be what would upset me.
But so far for a technically shonen but more shoujo-esque series compared to other shonen is kind of exploring more things than typically found in a sports. I feel it's always a team thing, team camaraderie, but this is a sport where you're competing individually.
Yeah, I mean, this is much more about it's sports as a metaphor of where you fit in with the world around you. And I think that's good. I think it's like good to have an identity based on stuff that you like.
Yes.
And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So next time.
We got 20 more episodes.
Oh dear. Okay. 10 more of these or
10 more episodes of this podcast dedicated to Angelic Layer.
yeah, that'll be forever from now.
It'll be 10 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Unless we take a break at some point.
I mean, at least we're doing it weekly.
That's true.
So we're pretty reliable for a scrappy beginning podcast.
Well, we liked Angelic Layer this week, so why don't we give the people some other stuff that we think they should check out that we also like. Sarah, what do you have to recommend to the people?
All right. For today, I'm going to recommend a webcomic, also typically known as manhwa, I think. It's like Korean manga, basically. But it's typically in color, and yeah, it's like a wider range of different illustration styles, because anyone can essentially make one and upload it. So I use this app called Webtoon, and last night, I found a new one that was recently released that I thought was really cute. It's called A Spell for a Smith. And it just came out, so there's only a few chapters, but it's cool because the two protagonists, one, I mean, typical, like, she's an outcast and everyone's so mean to her, but so like some dude's gonna, see her differently and stand up for her, blah, blah, blah. But the dude's like a dwarf and he's shorter than her, which is like something we don't see typically. So it's cool to, there's like fantasy elements, but also kind of making a typically side character fantasy race as one of the main characters and depicting them as someone desirable, I guess, is a cool thing that I haven't really seen before. Because everybody's swimming over Legolas and not Gimli, so it's just cute. It just recently started, but if you want to watch a more like long, like a complete series, there's one called Unholy Blood, which is kind of about vampires and stuff, and it's gorgeous and highly recommend. Also available on the app Webtoon. How about you, Joe? What have you got for us?
So we did not coordinate this, but I am also recommending a webcomic.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Just whatever we want to recommend.
It's just incidental that we're both.
They're going to load up on the webcomics.
This is a webcomic called Harpy Gee. That is Harpy, like the mythical thing, and then G, which is Gee. This is a comic that's been running for, I feel like, it's a long time. But it's about an elf who comes to this small town. She's like just let out of the place where she comes, like her kingdom, for the first time. And she like makes some friends with some of the people there. And it's just like about a bunch of different adventures they have. There's like magical elements. It's really like pretty to look at. Like it looks really nice.
I'm looking at images. Yeah, it's super cute and distinct art style.
Yeah, but this webcomic's been going on for a long time. It's really beautiful. Like the way that it's drawn is really nice. The plot lines are very good. It's kind of like in that like adventure story fantasy, but like still kind of for kids. Like this could be on like Nickelodeon. So it's like very, it's heartwarming in places. It's very cute. It's very funny in places. And yeah, it's just like a really nice way to spend some time. If you ever have some time and you don't know what to read, I would check out Harpy Gee.
Do you just read it directly on the website?
Yeah, I think it's also posted on Webtoons, but like you can just go to harpygee.com. It's all out there.
Okay, so check those out as you're just dying of anticipation of the next ShouJoe episode coming out next week.
If you like the show, please rate it 5 stars on whatever, on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. If you leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, I will read it out. If it's 5 stars, only if it's 5 stars.
Yeah, so make it clear you can rate it, but review is where you have to write something out specifically, and that super helps. So write those if you can.
Here is a comment, or here's a review by, I don't know how to say this, OZJJTX. Sarah and Joe made my intro experience to anime so fun. Their goofball conversations were very informative that I cannot wait for the next episode to drop. Thank you so much, OZJJTX.
Another parental in my life leaving a comment. It's my stepdad.
None of my parents are leaving reviews. Yeah! What's going on? I'm going to have a talk with them.
You freaking guilt trip them.
Guilt trip them.
If I can get my grandma to do it, then surely your parents can. I know my sister has been listening and she's like, wow, I've never heard Joe talk so much. And I'm like, yeah, well, you met him like twice. Dude, maybe.
Apparently, like people in my family, maybe like my cousins were like saying that they like listen to this. I'm like, dang, I've never heard Joe like be excited about anything. I'm like,
see, I feel like that's all I know is that you're always very
stoic.
like genuinely, I guess because we just talk about these things that we're both into, and I guess I could imagine you at like a family function with nothing in common with the people around you, maybe being a little more reserved, but no, you're always very like excitably talking about things. But yeah, I mean, that's, here I am doing a freaking podcast and doing streaming and stuff when I am a hermit, and I work in social media. I do all these social things that are so different from how I envisioned my life. Because when I was a kid, I envisioned me with like a bunch of books and cats, and that was my future. So I do have a lot of books and a cat.
Yeah, right? You're most of the way there.
And a few extra critters.
Uh-huh.
And alone. I'm alone, so boom, all the things are, I guess I did.
So you've made it. You've lived up to your expectations.
Yeah, anything from here is just a bonus. Oh, boy.
All right. So next time we'll be watching episodes 7 and 8.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Believe in yourself and Hikaru.
Yeah, believe it. Naruto.
That's a different show.
All right, okay.